This video is going to be about learning how to hack, and why didn't any of you listen to us years ago when you started making these mistakes? No, I'm disappointed. If keys that are needed to decrypt encrypted data or gain access to secure communications such as hash codes, streaming service data, uh, Digital Millennium Copyright Act required, uh, 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 you know, digital rights management codes. If any of this information has its information held in escrow, if it's a private communication between any individual human out of the billion on the planet and any entity like a corporation or any other individual, if there is a master code in the background generated at any time whatsoever that can be misused to break into those files in that communication, that would allow a government, a law enforcement agency, a business, or just a random hacker the same level of access. There is no such thing as authorization if there's a backdoor. Please just, I'm tired of building it. Go build your own giant slapping machine, rig the thing up, put it on, 1 horsepower, it'll be quick and done, and just slap yourselves into oblivion. I'm sorry. What? Any third party has access to the keys if the keys exist. See also every fucking data leak you've seen in the news or didn't see in the news for the last how many damn years or decades or whatever. It's not Liberty Safe's fault. It's yours. Why the hell do you even have the ability to do that? Doing a password reset on your YouTube account or your email is already hazardous enough that it's exploited to break into your accounts. You hear about this all the time. Famous YouTubers getting their accounts hacked because it exploits the fact that we forget passwords. Or the system run by some companies will demand that you change passwords so often that you can easily just screw them up. But this is for your bank account. This is for your personally identifiable data. I've even made a couple of videos on previous channels explaining how to go through and legally compel every company that has your information to erase it because it's no longer valid. Do you owe any money at a hospital that you went to 10 years ago? No. You can legally compel them. It takes a bit of effort, but you can give them, it's a boilerplate thing. It has to go through some lawyer in the area that looks impressive, but they'll erase all your damn data. You can even get some public assistance to do this. To force them to get rid of anything they can leak by explaining to them under any conditions that if I find out this has been leaked later and you've defied this demand, it will be considered legal. You're liable. You're very liable. And it's not HIPAA. Yes, every one of you that screamed, it's under privacy laws between me and my doctor about literally everything random that had nothing to do with it. You're the reason we can't discuss these things in public anymore. But there are actual rules that say if you've ever had your identity stolen, or even if you've had anything you can confirm, like your email account or your social media broken into, that can be used as a legally valid reason to compel every company that has your data to erase it. Tell them, print it out, put in paper only, or microfilm, so it takes a fuck ton of effort to get to. So somebody can't just hack through literally Pokemon. I mean, how stupid of a computer can you use? How stupid of a piece of electronics can you use to break into the data at the hospital? I'll tell you, a smart refrigerator was used during one of the hacker cons to prove that you could break into the local hospital up the street because the guy knew his own data and could just get into the database. That's not supposed to be able to happen. So to keep it from happening, any information that's not legally pending or financially pending, or medically pending, every bit of information that says you're currently healthy, there's no reason for the hospital to have it, you can legally compel them to forget. And they don't want to because it's not that they're selling your information. Yes, they are. They sell it sanitized and redacted, but it's still sold. Make them stop doing it. Everybody en masse should do it. It used to be called Anonymous Day. You'd call up every business that you ever had contact with and ask them, did you file all your taxes last year or 5 years ago? Yeah. Are you have anything pending? No. Then you don't have a legal reason to keep my credit card data, do you? The legal requirement in federal law is 5 years, generally considered for corporations and businesses. You can just contact them and say, none of the laws say you're allowed to keep it, none of them say you have to keep it, and I'm demanding you not keep it, and I'm literally willing to take you to court, because I can do that. Because my data was stolen, it was leaked, you're one of many sources, you're being compelled, here's the fucking court order. Just like a court order can be used to demand the information from a business, you can compel them to forget. Or not, depending on which city you're in. Yeah, fuck California. So let's move on. Actually, in California, it's even easier. It's just, some are more equal than others. Nathan Earl Hughes, he's 34, Fayette, Arkansas, something like that. He was arrested on 4 felony charges. He was identified, quote, by his ears. He was at the January 6th Capitol area during the rioting. Whether he was involved or not, I haven't looked it up, but he was in the area, and either as a witness or as, in this case, being charged with a felony, the FBI got a warrant. They got a court order to access everything in his home. And one of those things was an electronically controlled and closed safe. And of course, they contacted the company that made it, Liberty Safe, and asked them, do you have the ability to give us a master key code or reset the code so that we can get into it? And I don't agree with them doing this, but yes, legally they're required to do it. They can be just given a court order and take 10 minutes. It's the fucking FBI. Or they can just do it over the phone quickly and not have to be listed as an antagonistic entity. Now, they could have done the brave thing and said, no, we're not going to do that. In fact, they have in the past, at least their own claim is. However, they weren't served with a warrant to give up the code. You're a company that makes safes. Let me bring up examples of the FBI and the federal government being lied to and stymied by companies that really wouldn't tell them secrets. The entire telephone company network group, all telephone companies at one time, under Ma Bell and all the subsidiaries, even after they were broken up as Baby Bells, individual companies, refused to admit that they could quickly trace a phone call to its source, even though that's very obviously how they do it in order to send you the bill. At the time you make a phone call, they know exactly where it came from and where it's going by literally the cabling. Unless somebody hacks or falsifies the cabling somehow, which is actually pretty difficult at the time and still is, they know exactly where the call came from. Well, it takes X number of seconds to trace a call. Very dramatic music must play in the background, of course, and everybody has to start sweating. No, it's literally 1 second, because if the call has been made, it already has the trace data in the system. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to send you a bill that says how many minutes you called from one phone number to another. They always lied about it. They lied about it for literally decades to the federal government. Liberty Safe can't just say, we don't have the code unless they contact us and read some numbers that we don't have. Okay, there's a Wi-Fi hot box over here. Hot box? That's not the right. We're going to call it the Wi-Fi hot box, not the shitter. The Wi-Fi outhouse. The Wi-Fi hotspot over here has a code on it that's printed at the time it's put out. It's just a serial number. And it's burned into the chip in it. And it's the default. If you reset it, that's the code to get into it through the Wi-Fi. That level of security is so absolutely crazy effective, I endorse it. It is able to be broken past, but it takes a shit ton of effort for somebody to do it. And by the time you do it, you change the code. Just change the code. Don't use the default one on the box. But you know what's funny? Lots of people leave it as the code. They say, well, unless you have access to my house and know where I've hidden the Wi-Fi hotspot box, you can't get into it. It also has a code, some of them, to act as the admin password to get into it. Instead of the default password being admin, like a bunch of them did, you can just use that for the password. Again, the only copy of it that exists is on the outside of it. Is it printed on it? Yeah. But it's a lot like putting it on a Post-it note and sticking it under your keyboard. It can't be broken into from, Southeast Asia or whatever, or Russia. The next thing is, well, does the company have it? They have a group of numbers they put on them that were put out that week. They would need to have, pretty much you'd have to physically hold it to look at it to find the other number on it to get it. But they don't have it. They only have is a version number for burning one of them hundreds of thousands of codes in. So they can guess it, And by the time they guess 3 of them, it locks you out from doing it for 24 hours. Meanwhile, you have direct access. You don't need a password because you're already hooked up, and it recognizes you as being hooked up. No differences or no hops later. It's direct connection to the admin plug. Again, physical access gains real access. So the FBI is in the room. They want to access this vault, and they can't do it from in the room. Now remember, they had rights to the building and rights to violate privacy and security for Nathan Hughes. Fine. You actually got a judge to do it. It's his neck and his reputation and possibly a disbarment on the line. But he was willing to do it. It's really, you can be disbarred for giving this kind of access when it's not appropriate. It can actually result in disbarment. And what happened? They contacted the company, and the company unnecessarily reset a password or gave them the ability to do it. Because I can call up, their company has a how to reset your own thing. It's a lost combination and or key replacement and resetting service they offer. Because all y'all forgot your own codes. Okay? But if you didn't do that, they wouldn't have the ability to break in. There's thousands of websites and servers that have a policy of, if you screw up, we can't give anybody access, including you, because you don't have rights to it because you can't prove it. They say the price you pay for security is needing to jackhammer your way in. Yes, that's a Rust reference. I don't care. And about 4 other video games, including, let's get some Boom and some C4 or whatever. The point is, unless they're willing to go that extra mile, the FBI can go that extra mile. It's not that hard. The Liberty Safe is not that hard to break into physically. But calling up a company and them doing the reset service when you're not the authorized owner isn't necessarily a violation of the rules. They didn't actually do anything legally wrong, and honestly, maybe not morally wrong, because again, they could have just been compelled to do it. But the fact that they had the ability to reset it at all is the problem. This is called key escrow. This is not like you resetting your password. You still have to have some form of access. This is like literally walking up to a bank machine and being able to type on the keypad to get the diagnostic and flags setting function in and tell it to master reset to the original code that was password or worse. This is an example, not of them bootlicking, which is what people keep using, or whatever. This is an example of them making it to where I can break into your gun safe. I can break into your safe. I can break into your front door. Do not allow this in your world. I did an entire video on how to make a vault door that runs on keys. Several if you like, or just one. With a twist, literally that you had to turn it 5 times to get it to slowly crank all the pins out of the framework so you could get in your house. I also do videos on how sandbags are your friend. And plate armor might be. But ceramic tile works everywhere. I've done videos on how to do security in your life, like the aforementioned how to delete yourself from everywhere because they don't have a right to keep it. So they can't link it if they don't have it. What Liberty Safe should have done is told everybody, if you want enhanced security, we make it to where we can't reset the keys. And they should have said that up front. If you don't do this, we're legally compelled to offer that data immediately if we're even told there's a subpoena or a summons or warrant or whatever, writ or whatever they call it in your area. This is the fault of the buyer. Buyer beware. I am not going to fault Liberty Safe, although I don't like this. I can't fault them for it except for one thing. They should have offered enhanced security at no extra cost by us not being able to reset the password. That means you're stuck with it. That means you're using a blowtorch. That means the warranty is violated because we can't make sure that we can reset it. And then I'm going to point out, it's an electronic lock. Obviously, somebody could bypass it with a hammer or a drill or just tricking it by Wi-Fiing it or rubbing a magnet in the right place. It's always like that. Look up Lockpicking Lawyer and 100 other websites, 100 other YouTubers that do this stuff. But the point I'm making here is Liberty Safe doing escrow for the FBI was everybody else's fault, including them and the FBI, because you all forget your own keys. And the only thing I fault them for is they didn't offer to make it literally impossible for them to help anybody. Again, if you offer key escrow, any company that does that should be ignored immediately. And way too many do. And you need to know that. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You will need it.